Hello, 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 hello. Okay, we're up and running now. There we go. Oh, hi, Ray. Hello. Last week, even after restarting, I was having some issues with my computer freezing, so I'm taking a moment now just to kind of get through that, trying to shut some stuff down. So I will be streaming for about 45 minutes just to give you a heads up. So I'll get through as many questions as I can in that regard. I have a live the VIP workshop Q&A is coming up in about 1 hour from now, so I'm really excited about that. Most of the time they're based upon the criteria from the workshops, which are kind of this. I have a small group. It's kind of like this. Yeah, I guess you could call it a small group. It's called the inner circle that I allow a certain amount of people access each month, and those individuals who get in are mainly people who are really focused and thorough and who have dedicated a large portion of their life currently or presently to it's not only based around a single manifestation. For the most part, it's based around changing your entire life and mastering manifestation as kind of a skill. And that's kind of what the VIP program is about. But I have a Q&A in an hour, so I'm really looking forward to that. I always love those. It is definitely a little bit different than we do here. But nevertheless, it is, that's what I have going on. So I've been getting prepared for that. Business as usual. And yeah, that's basically what's new and exciting right now. I mean, there's a lot of things being worked on. I've been manifesting a lot of cool things. It's interesting, I've been getting these thoughts, which in turn cause me to reach out to someone or call someone or something, and then they tell me, this just happened a few minutes ago, oh my god, I was just praying for this exact answer, and then you called me. People I haven't talked to in a while. I just love it when that happens. Love it when that happens. Just still shutting down some of these things. Some of my programs, rather. Why is this knowledge not known? I don't know what that means, but that sounds really deep. Why is this not known? It sounds like something Keanu Reeves would say. I like that. Bear with me just another minute or so. pretty much solid on having things closed. I just don't want a repeat of last week. That was lame. Alright, well, I think on that note, let's go ahead and do it. Alright, let's see what we got going on here. Last week was crazy. People just started donating, and then it was like a fever because people kept upping it. I'd never seen anything like it. I was kind of shocked. I bet you my reaction internally fried out the internet system. Anyway, if conscious mind can cause doubt, then how would I manifest wealth when the only way to manifest is to imagine after the end? If the conscious mind can cause doubt, then how would I manifest wealth when the only way to manifest is to imagine after the end? It's contradicting. No, I think there's some... So, based on what you've said right there, there's no contradiction. So, I'm curious. There's something that you assume to be true. This is what I expect. Right? This is what I suspect based on what you've just told me. There's probably some premise you're assuming is true that really isn't. So I wonder, based on what you said, where is the contradiction? So you said, if the conscious mind can cause doubt, how would I manifest wealth when the only way to manifest is to imagine after the end? It's contradicting. No. So, your conscious mind imagines. Yes, the conscious mind can cause doubts, but okay, I just saw what you've clarified a little bit. Still, I don't see the contradiction. So where in that is a contradiction? What this person said is, if you're following along with where I'm at right now, is like Joseph Murphy said, to repeat the word wealth instead, so there's no conflict. So what he's actually referring to is, I think I get more along I think I understand what you're saying anyway, but I think it's more important to identify the incorrect assumption that's causing you to believe that there's a contradiction in imagining and the conscious mind and doubt. So yes, the conscious mind can be aware of doubts. So for instance, if I don't believe that much in manifesting, or if I don't see how something could happen, even if I do know how to manifest, then yes, there can be doubts that arise within the mind, right? But remember now, the key is to impress the subconscious mind, okay? The subconscious mind is the medium through which all is created. So your conscious mind has a large fluctuation of a massive variety of different thoughts. And so if it was based upon your conscious mind only to manifest, then you would manifest all this doubt and not doubt and confidence and all bunch of crazy things all the time because of the extreme variety of thoughts entering in and out of your mind. In fact, even myself, I have doubts about anything and everything. We're human beings. We all do. So I feel like perhaps, say we forget about what the discrepancy or the false assumption is that you're basing this on. The key is to realize that your subconscious is not the same thing as your conscious mind, which means every conscious thought you have is not the same thing as every subconscious thought that you have. If you have the conscious mind, which is the imaginer and the doubter and the thinker and the analyzer and the logic and reason, most of those aspects that I just mentioned are really bad for manifesting. But that doesn't matter, because it's not, your subconscious is not going to create every single one of those. There's a reason why it's stated in most literature who are accurate, rather, they talk about getting into a meditative state or some sort of state that allows you to impress your subconscious mind more accurately, or more effectively, rather. So when we're in our active waking state, like I am right now to you, the odds or probability that I'm impressing my subconscious mind with what I'm talking about right now is very small, because my conscious mind is fully alert, awake, and active. The goal is to reduce the awareness of our conscious mind to a minimum, thereby only allowing one image or idea or phrase to be alert in your conscious mind, right? All of this is conscious. We're never aware of the subconscious, right? So consciously I'm nearing upon sleep, or I'm in a relaxed meditative state where my mind is clear and empty. I'm no longer in this alert, active state. Then I bring forth the image. Then I bring forth the statement. Then I bring forth the whatever it is. And I imagine that. And I saturate my mind with it. Be it a phrase, be it a scene, whatever it is, imagining the end. At this point in time, even for now, if doubt is still arising, we repeat the scene enough until it is natural, meaning there's no doubt because the scene is realistic as you're imagining. You don't have to believe it's going to happen. You have to assume that it's just you're acting in it right now. And once you're fully, entirely pretending that it's here at this moment, right? Again, specifically referencing that we're not to, like, if we were, I think the doubt phrase comes along with the word belief, which in this case, it's been entirely misunderstood, or a lot of us, including myself, used to think that the current definition of the word belief, meaning something's going to happen, that often people will apply that definition to manifesting. But when we talk about belief, it's not the same definition. So thereby, with that idea, believing something's going to happen, how are you supposed to believe something is going to happen if it's not happening? It doesn't make sense. So the true definition of manifesting or imagining is to imagine as if it's realistic right now. That has nothing to do with believing it's going to happen in the future. None of that. It's all about identifying right here, right now, as if this is true. I'm there. The stack of money is here. I'm not believing that I'm having it. I'm not believing that I'm going to have it. It's just, even right now, I don't have to believe that I have this soda in my hand. It's just here. Nowhere in my mind comes the word belief. I'm just imagining it as if I am experiencing it now. I'm fully identifying with this scene. So during that process, if we do that, that chunk will impress the subconscious mind. After that, you let go and you're back alert again in daily life. You can still have doubts and say, man, that's not going to happen, or whatever. It doesn't matter though, because those thoughts in waking and active are not going to impress your subconscious mind. There's a whole reason we go through a whole process to impress it. So the goal in the end, to summarize it very short and concise, is it's not as important. In fact, we're not supposed to believe it's going to happen, right? That's completely contradictory to imagining something has already happened, okay? So with that in mind, then where do we go? The key is to imagine it is now. Bring the scene here, experience having it, talk as if it's already done in your imagination, and do that while in a meditative state. After that, like, that part alone will impress your subconscious mind, because when your conscious mind is reduced to a minimum, meaning sleepy or something, it moves and gives way to allow things to impress upon the subconscious, right? So it's yielding to your own thoughts. Hence why you get in these meditative states. Otherwise, when you're in these doubts and all of these things, your conscious mind is not reduced to a minimum. It's anxious, and it is not allowing things to pass in. So ultimately, it's during that time you impress your subconscious, then your subconscious manifests it. Afterwards, you can, go back to your doubt, whatever, it doesn't matter. It was that key moment when you were able to relax and imagine something as if it's real now. That was when you did the work. So, that's it. Oh my God, thank you guys so much for your donations. I really appreciate you. What an awesome, awesome, awesome thing. I have a contingent job offer from Pepsi now that I got my CDL last week. That is awesome. I love to hear that. Congratulations. Absolutely, this works for sure. When imagining doing something with a specific person, another person's face randomly popped up and caused disruption. What steps should I take? I would, if that's a problem, first of all, there's two things. One, disregard that just happened, because it doesn't matter, right? As long as you can get right back on focus without saying, oh my God, I just screwed up my scene. I just imagined this other person. I'm going to manifest them. That's when the problem arises. But when and if that other person's face pops up, you go right back to the imaginal scene and keep imagining it again until you're re-immersed, meaning don't let it pull you out of the state akin to sleep, or you will not impress your subconscious mind anymore. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if it continues to happen, I would completely remove the fact of adding that person at all. Instead, I would use a conversation with someone else talking about the person. Looks are deceiving anyway. You can imagine something physically, but you can get something else. It's more important to know what it is, think what it is, say what it is, and that's why talking with someone is often a better choice. Talking with someone about it. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. You guys are funny, man. Like, I think I'm assuming because of the lack of time here, I'm getting all of these donations and questions at once. I love it, though. I love it. I'm going to do the best I can. I have to do certain, priority. I was just saying, for those of you who were here last week and who donated, that was just so awesome to watch that. And this is kind of similar to that. People just kept donating and increasing it. It was like a competition. And in this case, you guys are just donating, boom, all at once, blasting. I love you guys. You guys are so awesome. Seriously. All right. I have beliefs. I'm going to try to get through these. I have beliefs that things don't work out for me, or that I'm not good enough because of past trauma. This causes a lot of stress and anxiety. How can I believe at this point for good before good happens? So, belief itself is something that's in your subconscious mind. Okay, given that it's in your subconscious mind, it is causing thoughts. Right? Your subconscious mind, right? Say there's something written on it that's things don't work out well. So that's in the subconscious. In most cases, there's a way to prove that it is almost literally statements written there, literally. That would take me a long time to get into to establish that, but you could just simply test it, and I'll explain this to you. So there's a belief in the subconscious. That belief is causing thoughts to enter into your mind. Okay, that's the same thing. That's what the subconscious does. It gives you thoughts or impulses. That's how you achieve manifestations. It'll give you a thought to tell you to go to this place, and that's the place that was set up for you to receive the manifestation. So anyway, your beliefs are causing thoughts. Okay? Now, there's a misguided, but good intention, but misguided kind of aspect or teaching or technique that people explain. It's really just people kind of blending modern psychology with manifestation, therefore, or thereby it's not the real solution. And they say every time you have this negative thought, you have to combat it instantly with a positive one, something opposing to it. The problem with that, if you know the concept of force with manifestation, It's that when you imagine something and you're on the bridge of incidents, it will naturally come to you with you having to put no effort whatsoever. Meaning, there will not be boundaries and obstacles once you're in full swing. It's like the seas will part and you'll be led directly there in perfect order. I guess in contrast to if it's not the bridge, and when you try to force things, what will happen is you will be able to go forward a bit, but you will always be pushed back. And in fact, it normally hurts a little bit. And in the end, even if you accomplish the goal that you're looking to accomplish with brute force, as opposed to this easy, simple way of just imagining and letting it happen, it will always implode on itself and you will end up exactly where you started. That is a fact, and the way you can test if a manifestation is unfolding or if the step you're trying to take is the right one is by just trying it, like very gently seeing what happens if you begin to do it. If you get a backlash right away, like for instance, I've had it where I have been thinking, oh my gosh, is the answer that I'm supposed to text this person right now? Literally, this happened. My phone shut off out of nowhere. And I was like, what? And I turned it back on and I went to send the text again and my phone shut off again. I swear. So the universe will always push you back. That's how you could feel out. Is this the right move? Is this not the right move? So in this case, nevertheless, the rule of force applies to the changing your thoughts to a positive one, right? Again, it's just force. You're not imagining things. You're just forcing this positive thought into your mind. It will be an infinite loop of repetition. The solution then is to figure out by and through the nature of your thoughts, meaning what types of thoughts are they? If there was a belief that is creating these thoughts, what would that belief be? What events, if events were caused by this belief, what would they have been? And therefore, they already do exist in your reality. That belief has not only been giving you thoughts, but it's been causing experiences, which is probably where the beliefs came from in the first place. So anyway, the point is you target them by generalizing them. Now, we talked about words. We would say, if there was a statement that could summarize it, what would it be? Okay, well, I think that the belief is that everything I do goes wrong, or nothing is going to work out for me in the end. I'm not good enough. So what you would do is you would brainstorm as many of those as you thought could be true, the ones that resonate with you. You brainstorm those and then you jot them down, not in a full, complete sentence sort of way because you don't want to just recreate them, but a key word in it, like not good or not good enough, right? You don't want to write down, I am not good enough. I think you get my point. I'm going to carry on from there. You should have a long list. Eventually, everybody should do this because this is probably the answer to most people's questions anyway. In doing this process, you'll change everything. You'll change your relationships, get a bunch of money, get anything you want. Anyway, so you have the negative. Then you find the opposite or a number of opposites. Oftentimes, you can find a direct opposite to that statement. That you want to write down longhand, like I am, or I always get what I want. I love. So you want to do as many angles as necessary to kind of build a wall around that negative one so that all of those positive ones combined will circle around that negative one and thus suffocate it. You cannot have a contrary or two contrary beliefs in the subconscious mind. They are statements. So you can assume that there's a negative statement in your mind that's creating these thoughts and experiences. So what you only have to do is find one or more statements which oppose that negative one. And then even just writing them down will impress your subconscious, but you really want to, out of that list of positive opposites that you've just written down, you take the ones that resonate most, you imagine them in the form of a conversation, someone complimenting you on the fact that that statement is true, maybe giving you an example in the imaginal act, and that is how you do it. That is how you change your belief systems permanently, which in turn will change everything affected by them, and in turn get you what you want permanently, as opposed to things getting turned around by beliefs, causing problems because of beliefs, etc. Jill, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. And let's keep going. Thank you guys so much. You guys are literally epic. K Radical. I wish it showed me your full name right here. Oh, let's see. I manifested a wonderful job, a super guy, and living at the beach. Then I worry and worry. Help me stop this. Joe, worrying is going to be the exact same solution that I just mentioned to the person who I just gave the solution to, which is summarizing what types, finding what the nature of those thoughts are, then generalizing where, if you had a belief or multiple beliefs where these thoughts were arising from, what would they be? And then opposing them, creating multiple opposites to each one, using a thesaurus. That's what I do. And then imagining them. This is where worries come from. And you'll find, this is an exact example. A lot of people, including myself, I used to do this, just manifest the objective things, the person, the money, the this, the that. But ultimately, when I didn't change the belief systems within, things would revert back. So I was really changing symptoms rather than the cause. And so the cause is modified when we imagine new beliefs and assumptions. How to recognize your bridge to your manifestation and act normal in regard to the specific person. I'm going to give you some really short ones that are just direct. You won't always recognize your bridge because most of the things that are happening are on a level that we couldn't even understand, right? So many different pieces would have to move that are designed by something infinitely more intelligent. So sometimes it's not easy to see. But I gave one example. Things happen easily and effortlessly as opposed to being forced. Another one would be that after we imagined a specific end, we saw something in our reality that was strikingly similar to that thing that we imagined, but not it itself, meaning a sign. Now, if we had imagined multiple things similar to it with different endings, and there's no way to really tell, which is why we want to make sure the scene that we're imagining is always unique and independent, and we don't imagine things like it. So we know that when we see it, that's a fact, absolutely, that we will reach our end. Those are two that I think are going to be helpful. Acting normal is literally just acting as you would act regularly. I don't know, per se, you're not supposed to pretend that you're with them, per se. That's to be done while imagining, while your eyes are closed. And aside from that, act as you normally would. Talk to them as you normally would. Do what you would do if you weren't manifesting it. I've been watching you grow. I have to add your manifestation here. Enjoy. Thank you very much, Ms. M.M. Eminem, M.M. All right. I keep manifesting my brother in a... Oh, man, please don't go away. I keep manifesting my brother in a state of addiction, no stability in his life, on and off. Jobs and relapsing. What can I do? You can't take painful responsibility in the sense like, man, I keep messing up. Because it's not like that. He also has a mind. He's not a robot. He's not a puppet, as some people mistakenly explain. But if you're imagining him in a successful life, then the only thing missing is the beliefs. As I said before, the experiences themselves are only symptoms of the cause or the source, which is the mind, the belief. If we keep having him in a good position and then he keeps going bad, then there's a belief there that you need to target. And you do this by looking at the nature. If you can't target the thought, look at the nature of reality. What pattern is unfolding? How do you summarize that in words? And then find the opposite and imagine the opposite. It's the same process as delving into a belief system that I demonstrated or explained for two others, but you can, instead of just looking at what the nature of the thought is, you look at what the nature of reality is. Because everyone and everything is you pushed out, which means it doesn't necessarily mean that you're imagining him doing drugs, but what it would mean is there's something else that he's fitting that conception of. And yes, maybe it's just that you believe that people in your life are screwed up, or it could mean that everyone that is good goes bad, or it could mean that you have some belief that, people never maintain positive changes. It could be so many different things, which is why you want to look at the actual nature of patterns. And it won't just be in him. It will be in other people in your life as well. Summarize what is happening to them. Find the common thread. That is the belief that's in your subconscious. From there, you find the opposite. Create a scene surrounding it, like someone complimenting you. Wow, everyone in your life is so stable and positive. Or, wow, your brother has just an amazing, consistent, level-headed life. Something to that effect. And that's coupled with imagining the end. You have to do both. Because if you're only doing the scenes themselves with him like being clean or whatever, and you're not targeting the beliefs, then you will get what you want temporarily, but in the long run, they will revert back to that negative mindset, to the negative traits. 15 minutes left, guys. So many things have almost come through with my manifestations. Is this a belief holding me back, not letting go, or is it still on its way? Most, and I'm talking about in probably 95% of the cases that I've talked, including my own, that I have, because I've gotten that same statement with many people, and there's a very specific thing that is often, there are two things actually that are often true. And they both are related to what you're imagining specifically. So the first thing that is the most obvious is whether or not you are imagining after the end. If you're imagining at the time of where you're actually receiving it, meaning you're about to receive it and then you receive it and then you're happy that you've just received it, that will be probably the primary cause, if that's what you're doing, of why you will always go almost to the end and then stop. There's a very specific reason why you have to go after the end, and it's because your consciousness replicates, it constructs the DNA of that seed itself, and then once it's planted in the ground and grows, it must reach full maturity, meaning going to that exact end that you've imagined. But the kicker is, or the rub is, that it will not go further. The same as a child will not grow into an elephant or something. It only goes to the exact position that you've imagined. So, if you go to a point in space of either, meaning at the moment you're called and receiving the promotion, it's not far enough. You will get to a place where it's almost there, or you will get that call, but it will not go through after. The subconscious and awareness or God are very literal, creating the exact nature of what you imagine. So going after, meaning the check already cleared in your account, it didn't bounce, right? Or you already have been at your new job for 2 weeks and you've already gotten your pay. Or you've already gotten married a month ago and you're celebrating a month on your honeymoon, something to that effect. Whereas if it's only just, I do, you're saying your vows, or you're just handed the check could bounce. Your partner can run off and say, never mind, I don't, So always after. And another thing, the second thing that is also, I think, probably equally common, is imagining either too long or too many details that don't matter. Your subconscious only accepts bite-sized pieces of information. So if if it's way too long, that's probably the most common out of those two, which is that you'll start to see things very similar. There will be pieces of what you've imagined, but it will not be the whole thing. And a lot of times it won't be the thing that you want. I mean, I've talked about stories before, but So the key is you want it to be short and concise. You need it only to be what you want. Only bring forth the symbolic representation of the end result. Don't focus on things that don't matter. It doesn't matter where you're driving there. It doesn't matter what you're wearing, if that's not a big part of it. The whole idea is, if you want $1 million and you're getting that in a certain way, you just click on your bank thing and you see it in front of your eyes right here, $1 million. And then me in my mind saying, oh my God, I actually have $1 million. And then repeating that scene over and over and over and over. Leave out details that don't matter. Just like in real life, your whole mission is to emulate what you would really be experiencing. Would you be focusing on your clothes and, I don't know, the pattern on the wall if all you're doing is opening your bank account and seeing that there's $1 million there? No, you wouldn't care about that. It wouldn't even matter where you were at all. Leave all that stuff out. Create a short, concise scene that's about 5 seconds long only, or basically as short as humanly possible for it to still resonate entirely with you. That's it. Message redacted. I like that, Chrissy. Well, thank you for the 20. Please scroll up. I sent a message with my donation. I've been waiting to manifest a second job. I've been affirming, scripting, and visualizing. A lot of interviews came in, and then crickets. Why? How to fight against doubts that come up. It's not about fighting doubts. It's, from my experience, from talking to thousands of people and me manifesting thousands of things, there are two things. One, first of all, if you've imagined it properly, then despite there being no callback or whatever, it's already in motion, so it doesn't matter what you do at this point, it's going to come. Secondly, you want to make sure that you've imagined to the end enough. You want to make sure that you are actually imagining the true details of what matter to you. Right? Is it a second job, or is it just money, or is it just going on vacations, or is it paying the bills? Imagine really what you want, not how you're going to get it. With those things, it will be much easier for you to get your end. So much easier. All of those things will be included perfectly, ingeniously, right? We are never to consider the how we're going to get what we want. And oftentimes a job is how I'm going to get this money. But really what we want is the money. But that's not even really what we want. We want the vacation. We want the car. We want the bills paid off. No debt. Focus on those, and the rest of the pieces will come together way more perfect than you think. That's what you want to do. Trust you me. Shit. How do I avoid creating resistance after visualizing? By being in a state of need. So it's during visualizing when you need to be in the end state. Afterward, you still may be inundated with fears. The key is, first of all, to the best of your ability to imagine you have what you want, meaning you're there, you're thinking from there, right? All of that. Then afterward, really what I do is I say to myself, okay, if I'm having fears and anxieties, I'll say to myself, I've done this before, I've imagined before, and it's always happened. So I'm not like pretending I'm still there. The fears are still coming in, and I'm not pretending and saying to myself, Joe, it's here. No, it's not. It's going to come. I've imagined it. So the point is, it's more important to imagine effectively to the best of your ability, making sure you're imagining properly, visualizing. Watch my video on step-by-step visualizing. I don't care if you automatically insinuate that you already know what I'm going to talk about. Watch it very closely. There are specific details in there that explain to you exactly the answers to these questions. It's like an hour long too. I guarantee you it will teach you things, and you'll walk away from there with like a brand new understanding and confidence. But nevertheless, the point is during imagining. Afterward, you could have beliefs, first of all, that are causing these problems within you. But oftentimes, especially in like a time crunch situation, stress always comes. So the key is, don't include any timing in your imaginal acts. Only imagine that you're there now. That's it. That's the best way, fastest way you're going to get it. in the most effective way. I always feel great in the car. How is this? I don't know. How is it? It could be your state of mind adapting. Like, it's a common thing that wherever you go, if you're used to feeling a way there, you will keep feeling there. It's like a trigger for you. In fact, people can set up triggers in their lives, as I have too, and that will help you. You could say, every time I do this, this happens. You impress that in your subconscious mind, and then that will happen. I wonder if that's what you're actually bringing up. Chrissy, thanks for the 20. Mike, thanks for the 3. Madeleine, I wish I knew how to pronounce that, but thanks for the 50. Chrissy, 20. Don't imagine I find it hard to stay put, and my mind always takes me out of my body, despite me trying to get relaxed beforehand. What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. It actually takes practice. So, more specifically for me, it probably in the beginning took me 20, 30 minutes to rein in my mind fully before I could fully, clearly, specifically imagine, right? And then the next day it would take, like for a few days, it took that long. So if you don't expect that to happen and that's happening to you, then you're going to freak out and say, what am I doing wrong? But if you realize that this is not natural for a human being to imagine in first person, and that you have to train yourself to do this, it's deliberate training. There are things you can do. You practice, you close your eyes and keep imagining that you're in a different place every second. Imagine you're sitting in your chair. Imagine you're in the kitchen. Imagine you're at your grandmother's house. Imagine you're in another country. Then come back to sitting in the chair here. There's that, and then deliberately forcing your mind to keep coming back, keep bringing it back, keep staying focused. And after a while, you will no longer have a struggle. And then after days and weeks, it will not be, you will instantly and automatically be in first person without really, sometimes it still takes me 5 or so minutes. Could take a little bit longer, but nevertheless, it's so much easier. There's no struggle, more or less, anymore. So you're not doing anything wrong. It's about deleting impatience, realizing that this is a practice, and that it might take you a week before you start seeing results as far as your ability. But even if you imagine quickly that you're amazing at using first person point of view, that will help you in this process, but eventually you will get better at it, and it'll change your entire life with manifesting. Thank you for all you do. No, thank you for all you do. All right, we've got 4 minutes, so I'm just going to start going through and seeing if, I don't know how many are left, but I know I do have at least one in front of me, and I'll just scroll down until I get the rest of them. I'm going to go as fast as I can. So I recited I am whole, perfect, strong, Charles Hannell affirmation. Then got health, decline, and an injury workout. What may have happened here? That's definitely interesting. Oftentimes it could come with your own sense of that this is BS while you're affirming it. An affirmation has to be actually, let me say this first. An affirmation has to be an emulation of what you would really be saying to yourself and how you would feel about saying it if it were really already true. So that's what imagining is. It's emulating reality in your mind. So in a robotic sense, what's really interesting about this actually is that you could have manifested you needing to be whole, perfect, and strong. So meaning you could have gotten sick as a result from saying these affirmations, just so ultimately you could be in a situation where you can say, I'm whole, perfect, and strong. So it's important to know manifesting is so powerful. It is so literally life-changingly powerful, often taken on a whim, because that's kind of, we're taught lackadaisically, like, yeah, just imagine this and that, which is BS. And you want to make sure what you're imagining is specific in nature, clear, and with an obvious intention behind it. So, for instance, opposed to just taking what someone says and repeating it, you have to know also how the subconscious mind works. It takes literally the contents of the imagination, meaning the inner speech, and it will create a situation where you will say those things in real life. That's how it works, right? So it'll make something happen in order for you to say those statements, okay? So it does not actually take your intention, despite many common teachers saying that, just total BS. Your intention doesn't matter to the subconscious. It doesn't even see it. It sees what you imagine, what you say. So in other words, in your intention, you might have thought yourself as like some super strong, powerful, healthy person. Like, and so in your mind, that's what you thought. And you're like, okay, I'm going to say these things and that's what I'm going to achieve. And then during your affirmations, you're not actually bringing those images or any of that stuff in your mind. You're just saying those statements. And then afterward, you're thinking like, yes, I'm going to end up being this thing. But your subconscious got none of that intention. They only got those words itself. It only got those words. So so therefore, it could put you in a situation where you were sick, so that when you get to the other side of it, you will say, oh, I'm strong, I'm whole, etc., etc. So that's one thing that is probably the most likely. Aside from that, secondarily, it could be your not allowing yourself to believe it or assume it's true, which therefore, while you're saying it, is a level of doubt, and then therefore causing certain contrary things to manifest. That's another thing. So if you're feeling doubtful or like this is BS, that could be one thing. So one way to get around that is by removing the I am and then focusing on one of those statements itself and just allowing it as you repeat it in your mind loudly and clearly. Allow it to grow in your mind and focus on it. So, and eventually you will actually be able to feel it better and see it better and relate to it and identify it with it better than if I'm saying something that I know is complete BS. So those are two possibilities, but my advice to you and to everyone is to realize a couple things, always. First of all, imagining is so powerful. It within its grasp is life and death and all creation. Make sure you really want what you're imagining. Secondly, specificity. Again, it's not your intention. I don't care what anybody says. You could test this. Test it and prove it true, as many of the people in this room already have. It's not your intention that will manifest. It is what you bring forth in your imagination. And your subconscious is non-selective, meaning it will take its own literal definition of what you are providing to it and then create something based on that. So you want to combine very accurate statements with even images and sounds and things of this nature so that you can be sure to impress an extremely unambiguous, accurate imaginal act into your subconscious and therefore manifest as specifically as you possibly can. And then besides that, using that, that's kind of the foundation of how manifestation works, and expand on that to create anything that you want, combining senses, combining emotions, combining statements until you get the reality that you want. All right. Let me see how I can answer this real fast, because I'm over time. I need to focus more on what I'm not. Putting pressure on myself since my specific person. Trying too hard, causing me to focus more on what I'm not. Putting pressure on myself since my specific person is kind of there, but kind of not. How do I do things from an authentic place? So force doesn't work, period. Sometimes we have to entirely let go. How about this? If we are if we're only waiting until we're in a negative space to change our conception, it will never work. What I mean by that is oftentimes people, when they're afraid, they'll instantly be like, oh my God, no, I'm married to them. It will be ineffective forever. Only because the fact is that you are your true self, and your creative self is your consciousness, right? Your true self isn't this body at all. It has nothing to do with who you truly are. You truly are your consciousness itself. Given that, if you're in fear, your consciousness, the entire real material of who you really are right now is fear. And so if you're trying to derive faith from fear, you cannot, because the material doesn't exist in you at that moment. So you wait until later, until you're laughing, until you've completely forgotten about it, and you're in a decent or neutral mood where you're not in fear. And at that point, you're not manifesting that limit of contraction of fear. You're back in the infinite potential. You can either reach that also by meditating just on blankness, and that brings you back to your infinite potential. And once you're there in a neutral mood, that's when you assume the person you want to be. That's when you imagine you are the person you want to be. That's the only time you can get your results. So if you're in stress, you wait for, even if there's just a moment's time when you realize you're laughing at one point, that's when you should say, okay, I imagine that I'm happily this, I'm this and that. That's how you're going to start to, not only will it cause you to become that person, but it's kind of like taking a crowbar, and eventually you're expanding on that time, those moments when you feel good, and they'll get bigger and bigger because you're seizing that moment. If you impress the subconscious, can you not uproot it? You can with full-blown obsession and negative thinking. But I've only done it once, and I actually had OCD at some point in my life. So even with OCD, only one time ever. It's very difficult to do. So on that note, I want to thank you all for being here. You guys make my day. I really look forward to Fridays. I honestly, at this point in my life, am liking it better than recording. I think because I took such a long break from doing lives because the internet wasn't working properly here when I moved here. Literally the last time I did a live before this span, like a month ago, was before I moved to this location, which is just about 2 years ago. So given that, I am grateful I'm back on it. I manifesting works as this. I should not be able to even stream right now. The internet is that bad, quote unquote. So I'm grateful for that. Otherwise, I do have my Inner Circle VIP Q&A in about 10 minutes from now. So I have to go on in and get that all situated and talk to my my group. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate all of your donations. And yeah, just be here next week and see if there's anything else. I will be away, however, from October 2nd to, I don't know, I may do a stream or not. I'll be traveling. I'll be in North Carolina, and then I'll be in Virginia, or DC rather. So yeah, I'm just super grateful you guys are here. I'm grateful for these lives. You guys ask great questions. Thank you for participating in your own reality. It's the most important aspect, as most people never go as deep. And if you're just on the cusp and still trying to figure out if this is nonsense, stick around. Find the right people to listen to. Most people will just want to be famous on YouTube and throw you anything that sticks. So just begin to systematically test it. I have a ton of videos on testing it. It's how I got to be who I am, where I am today, from the pits of despair until where I am now. So a little bit more about my story on my channel. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you more than anything else. You guys make my day, make my life. Keep imagining the best that you can ever imagine, and do it for others as well. Imagine for others. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you all for the donation. Take care.